Hello, and welcome to The Breakdown with Benjamin Nguyen for the week of July 5th, 2021. Let's get right into this week's events with the weekly. Christopher Meyer has made bail, which was set at $200,000. Christopher, shown here in a near-deadly assault on the Shasta County resident known as Bob, and again 2 months prior assaulting Nathaniel Pickney along with Carlos Zapata and Elizabeth Bailey. Christopher is currently scheduled for 2 court appearances on July 13th and July 14th. Carlos Sapod has been reaching directly out to members of the community to try and correct the record in regards to his involvement on the assault on Nathaniel Pickney. A community member shared these screenshots with a Facebook group known as Thought You Should Know Shasta County. Sentiments shared by Carlos seemed to seek validation for the assault on Nathaniel Pickney as something he deserved due to text message and voice correspondence. I myself was contacted by Carlos but opted not to speak to him, as he has propensity to make statements that can be construed as misleading. On Wednesday, July 7th, Carlos Zapata attended a hearing regarding the temporary restraining order Nathaniel Pickney has against him. He's shown here raising a middle finger to a reporter that took a photo of him en route to the court. As a reminder, both the criminal charge against him and the temporary restraining order is due to the assault on Nathaniel Pickney that took place on May 4th. Later that same evening, there was a protest at 5 p.m. led by the Red, White, and Blueprint documentary team, as well as Recall supporters. An estimated 100 people showed up to the event in support of Carlos Zapata, whom himself was absent from the protest. Among those who spoke were Timothy Fairfield of Shingletown, who struck a much more salient tone than that of his January 5th speech.
How many of us initially started coming here just because they decided they wanted to close the meetings?
That was part.
I mean, a huge chunk of us, there's some outright activists here who've been working hard for years. But a good chunk of us came down here just because they wanted to operate in the dark.
His previous comments made on January 5th seemed to indicate he wished to physically harm the supervisors if they did not step down.
So when the ballot box is gone, there is only the cartridge box. You have made bullets expensive, but luckily for you, ropes are reusable. Thank you.
Terry Raposa, one of the leaders of the State of Jefferson movement, repeated Leonard Moty's grand jury finding of misfeasance for his actions during the car fire of 2018.
Leonard Moty uses our last sheriff, McGreeny, to go behind fire lines.
He's a traitor.
To get wine, check on his generator, and check on his home. Could any other of the victims of the car fire have the power to do that?
No.
As a reminder, the ground jury found no laws were broken, but interpreted Moty's actions regarding using county resources to visit his personal property during the fire as morally inappropriate, and ruled misfeasance as a result. The grand jury report also states that the escort was initially offered to Moty as a courtesy, not initiated by Moty himself. I implore viewers to read the grand jury's findings to better understand the situation. Cottonwood militia leader Woody Clenenden also spoke at the event, clarifying that they were not there to threaten the district attorney, simply for people to let her know how they feel. Woody concludes by suggesting the next episode of the Red, White, and Blueprint docuseries will focus on the Shasta County District Attorney, Stephanie Bridget. Carlos's next court date is on Monday, July 12th at 8:30 a.m., which will have occurred by the time this video has aired. There is also a call for supporters of Carlos to protest at the court. And now, for the breakdown. Today I want to reach back to the origins of what myself and many of our community believe the precursor to our current political climate in Shasta County. Meet Reverge Anselmo. According to his Internet Movie Database profile, Reverge is of Italian descent, was born in Mexico, and grew up in New York City and Connecticut. He's a former U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran who fought in Beirut, Lebanon in the 1980s. He's also a filmmaker, best known for the film Stateside, released in 2004. Reverge purchased land in Shasta County in 2005 for the purpose of opening a winery as well as a chapel off of Highway 44. During his residency here, which was roughly from 2005 to 2014, Reverge was quite the controversial figure in Shasta County. It seemed that if you knew him or of his situation, you either believed he was wronged by the county or that he was recklessly developing his properties without acquiring permits or going through any of the proper channels. I'll let you decide. On October 15, 2007, the Regional Water Board staff, who was responding to a complaint, inspected Reverge's property and found significant land clearing activities being conducted during wet weather conditions that resulted in the discharge of waste materials. The inspectors observed heavy equipment that was being used to clear land, remove brush, and create large debris piles. There was a significant discharge of waste, including waste threatening to impact surface waters, including a small on-site wet drainage and wetlands and the South Fork Bear Creek. it was determined that Reverge's activities on the land violated California Water Code. He was ordered to clean up the waste and provide an erosion and sediment control plan prepared by or under the direction of a professional in erosion and sediment control. In 2011, Reverge's chapel was red tagged due to not being zoned properly. In 2012, Reverge filed a counter lawsuit against Shasta County, naming Russ Mull Shasta County Resource Manager, whom he viewed to be the one causing the majority of his construction woes. In the complaint, he specifically singles out Andrew Jensen, an employee of the Regional Water Quality Control Board, for intimidation. The case against Andrew was settled out of court. In 2013, Shasta County filed an injunction to stop construction of an event center, citing that Reverge doesn't have permission authority to build the event center, and that he hadn't obtained the appropriate building permit, septic permits, or a health permit. Reverge's discontent over bureaucracy is understandable, but it appeared during his entire tenure at Shasta County he preferred to operate under the old adage, forgiveness not permission, often opting to try and fix things after they were said and done, hoping some would be overlooked, like the water system used in Anselmo vineyards. Upon a recent inspection in 2017, it was discovered the system doesn't deliver enough water pressure in the event of a fire, something that in 2021 you'd be hard-pressed to find a Shasta County resident that doesn't agree with that regulation. States that don't have these sorts of regulations may be easier for developers to build, but also have added consequences. A good example of that is the Surfside condo building in Florida that collapsed on June 24th. A law repealed in 2008 would have required bureaucratic measures that would have ensured the building's inspection and repair, which would have avoided this tragedy. Another example is the Texas power crisis from February of this year. Winter storms were so harsh the state's power infrastructure was not adequately prepared, preparations that could have been done if regulations had required the proper weathering for the equipment used in the power grid. It's also important to note that in 2012, during his protracted legal battle with Shasta County, Reverge Anselmo was donating to local election campaigns, most notably to a commission to elect Patrick Jones, who ran that year in District 3. He also donated to campaigns for candidates in both District 2 and District 4. Patrick did not win the election that year. Reverge eventually sold the property and left the county in 2014. In September of 2015, Shasta County won a judgment that prevents the winery from occupying and or using the unpermitted buildings until the necessary permits and certificates of occupancy are obtained. There's a reason I bring all of this up. Reverge Anselmo isn't a closed chapter in Shasta County history. He's still very involved in the dealings in our county. In August of 2020, Reverge donated $100,000 to Patrick Jones' bid for District 4 Supervisor, something that I have to admit at the time I didn't think was possible. Reverge also donated $15,000 to Patrick during the primaries. Campaign financing prior to January 2021 had no local limits set on how much money someone could raise from a single donor. Reverge took advantage of that fact and fully funded Jones' campaign in one fell swoop, who would go on to win the District 4 seat. As of January 2021, there are now regulations in place that limit a single donor to $4,700. Reverge has recently been featured in the Red, White, and Blueprint docuseries. When asked if he would ever come back to Shasta County, he states,
"Would I come back?"
Yeah.
That's your question, right?
Yeah.
If you're successful with Patrick Jones, recall 3 supervisors, eliminate the whole resources management division, which has no resources. Yeah, if you did that, I'd go back.
is it possible that having Patrick Jones on the Board of Supervisors, whom is actively advocating for the recall of 3 of his colleagues, is a direct quid pro quo to assist Reverge in his retribution against the county? In what may have been a slip of the tongue, Reverge actually says "we" when referring to Recall Shasta and the documentary filmmakers of Red, White, and Blueprint when referring to the recall.
You know, we feel like there's a bit of a house of cards with the supervisors because they're the ones that actually...
We are recalling 3, right?
Yes.
So that's all it takes.
Recall proponents of Recall Shasta are featured in much of the Red, White, and Blueprint docuseries, and with Patrick Jones and Reverge Anselmo, there seem to be undeniable links. What was billed as a grassroots movement on its face appears to be anything but. And that's the breakdown for the week of July 5th, 2021.